All right, welcome back to another introductory video for Triple Threat Basketball. In this video, we're going to talk about the timing and keeping the time of the game. Now, there are a couple different options that you have for keeping time. One is to use the game timer or clock like this. The other is to do a possession-based timing of the game, where maybe you just split the game into 100 possessions each, and then you just keep track of how many possessions each team has, up to 100 for the entire game. So basically you have 200 possessions for the entire game, you do 100, and after 100 possessions or 50 possessions, that's like halftime, so 50 each, and then you do 50 more possessions for each team in the second half. And then once you reach 100 possessions total for each team, then that would be the end of the game. And that's a sort of a simplified way to do it. You could also look at the actual for whatever era you want to play. If you look at the average pace values, you can see is the pace for each team maybe 105 or 110. Then you can decide, okay, it's 110 possessions for each team, not 100 for them. Or if maybe you're in the 80s, or not the 80s but the 90s, possessions sort of started dragging and going down below 100, and so maybe you want to do 95 possessions for each team, and that'll get you those games that are slugfests in the 70s and 80s and low 90s like you would get during the middle of the 1990s. But I'm going to show you how to use the game timer. This is probably going to be the most common way to do it, and each quarter is 12 minutes in the NBA, so this is an NBA timer. And if we do other sets for WNBA or college or whatever, those will be appropriately created so that you can keep time in a more accurate way for those games. So we have 12-minute quarters, and then we have a couple of overtime periods represented on here as well. Overtime in the NBA is 5 minutes, so we have 2 overtime periods here, just in case you need to go to double overtime. The way timing works is these are in 5-second increments, and you can see that it's 5-second increments down to 1 minute. So this is 1 minute of play. So from 12 down to 11 minutes, that's 1 minute of play. Down to 10 minutes is another minute of play. And then you have all the way down to 0. So you move left to right, and then you go to the next column down. So this is 9 minutes and 55 seconds, 9 minutes and 30 seconds, 9 minutes, 8 minutes and 30 seconds, 8 minutes. So that's sort of how you count down in the quarter. And once you reach the 0 point of the quarter, you've ended the quarter, obviously, and then you need to go to the next quarter down. The way it happens on each play, let's take just this set offense. If you haven't read or watched the video about the set offense, you can go back and see how each offensive play is played out. But each of the different, each player is able to play out, I don't know really how to say it, but each offensive play has the opportunity to be resolved in 1, 2, or 3 passes. So if the point guard is bringing the ball down the floor and he takes a shot on his first part of the possession and doesn't pass the ball to anybody, just takes an immediate shot, then that play only takes 10 seconds off the clock. Whether it's a make or a miss, whether there's a rebound or not a rebound, it takes 10 seconds. And so then you would mark off 10 seconds, which is 2 boxes. If he passes to the short shooting guard, and the shooting guard, when he receives the ball on this second part of the possession, if he doesn't pass the ball but shoots it after receiving the pass, that's 15 seconds off the clock. So then 3 boxes. If the shooting guard were to pass, let's say to the center, and the center on the very last part of the play shoots the ball, because he has to shoot the ball, he has no option to not shoot the ball on the very last play or the last part of the possession, then that's going to represent 25 seconds off the clock. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you would mark off 5 boxes. That is indicative of, it's supposed to represent like the shot clock running down, and you take the shot as, you know, as the shot clock is running down. So that's going to be 25 seconds off the clock, a full possession in the NBA. I realize that some of these players played before the shot clock era, but the shot clock is a part of the game and sort of built into the game. That way everyone is kind of playing on a level playing field, and makes it just easier to deal with the game. So if there's a rebound, and let's say there's an offensive rebound, then on an offensive rebound, you're using the fast break offense, which is at the bottom here, the fast break chart. And let's say the shooting guard gets an offensive rebound and puts it right in, like takes a shot immediately, doesn't pass the ball. That's going to be 10 seconds off the clock. If he passes the ball to the small forward and the small forward has to take a shot, that's going to be 15 seconds or 3 ticks off the clock. If you're not running a set offense, but off of, let's say, a made or a missed basket, player starts the fast break, then you're going to use, it'll be either 10 seconds off the clock if that ball handler takes the first shot, or if he passes the ball, it'll be 15 seconds off the clock. So depending on what happens on the play is how quickly the time moves in the game. If there's an offensive rebound, I sort of reset everything. And if this player took a shot at the 25-second mark, I would take 25 seconds off, and then I would resolve the rebound. And then I would use more time off the clock, because that's how it's going to work, right? They're going to get a rebound, and it's going to take a little bit more time off the clock after the shot. So there's a time before the shot, and then there's a time with the offensive rebound. So both of those need to count into the play. So when you reach the end of the game, you've reached the end of the game. I tend to play it that, let's say, a team receives the ball and there's only 5 seconds left in the game, or in the quarter, and they receive the ball and a new possession starts. Because it takes at least 10 seconds for each of these plays to happen, I tend to just let the quarter run out. So it's like they received possession, they got the ball in, but they couldn't get a shot off, and so the quarter just ends. If the team receives the possession with 25 seconds left, then they can run up to the 25 second, and that would be basically a last second shot that they take. If they receive it with 10 seconds left, but the first player passes the ball, then that's representing, like running out of time again. So you can play it that on the last possession, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens, they have the last possession and they get the shot off, whatever happens. That's sort of up to you as a gamer to decide how you want to run that clock. I just tend to, feels a little bit more realistic to me, because sometimes it does just run out, like the clock runs out and you don't get a shot off, like you make too many passes and you can't get the shot off in time. So that actually does happen in games, and sort of bad clock management at the end, or just not enough time to get into the offense that you need to get into to get the shot off. You can homebrew any sort of last second shot that you want to. Maybe you roll 2 D10s and a 100 is a last second shot, and then you just that's a make, otherwise it's a miss. You can do all kinds of different things that you want to with the timing and the clock, but this is sort of the standardized, if you just want to play it sort of by the rules. That's how I've been playing it with the clock. I think that's all for the timer. The next video is going to be a short demo of just the gameplay and the flow of the game. And if you haven't watched some of the other earlier instructional videos, go back and watch those, and they show you how to set up the game, how to use the game engine chart, and how to work with the score sheets.